Hello everyone, so I'm Manuel Asnar. I'm a PhD student at GFZ under the supervision of Christophe. And my topic of research will be mostly nonlinear mesoscopic elasticity. And what I'll be presenting to you today is mostly the very early stages of my investigation. So, first off, why even bother looking into that? Well, one thing that has been mentioned time and time again already by Hall, by Céline, by other people as well is, well, those nonlinear mesoscopic effects are something that we can actually observe both in the lab and in the field. On the right, you can see a figure by Branguier, which describes the logarithmic relaxation of displacement, I think, in after the Park field season. And on the left, what you can see, however, is an experiment by 10 Kate that shows the same kind of post-conditioning relaxation in logarithmic time. And as you can see, both of them have very, very, very different timescales. One of them being in years and the other one being in minutes, or as Parisa pointed out earlier, sometimes hours in the lab. So truly a huge variety of timescales for very similar phenomena. So a lot of questions to be asked and hopefully to be answered someday. Do we have scaling laws in time, space, amplitude? What are the underlying physics causing these effects? Because we do have a lot of models floating around, none of them seeming to really agree with one another on the root causes of that nonlinear mesoscopic elasticity. And above all, are those effects something that have an impact on global wave propagation, and meaning is that something that we should and could be able to model? And that's all part of the work package 2, new physical models for the restless Earth. So the long-term goals for our investigation, and given the experimental apparatus that we have at our disposal at the GFZ, are, among other parameters, the effects of confining pressure on our sample, effects of temperature, effects of pore pressure as well, and what I would call cumulative conditioning, just saying would consecutive conditioning phases on the sample getting closer and closer have cumulative effects on the relaxation? Would they add up in a linear way, non-linear way? We don't really know, and that's something we would like to find out. So we have a pretty straightforward experimental setup. We have a rock sample that's in the jacket over here. You might see those small pins, which are acoustic sensors. We're loading all of that in a load cell in which we have control of all the confining pressure. And essentially, what we're doing with this sample of rock is just subjecting it to strain steps, one after the other, and letting it rest for 30 minutes each time, just to see if we can manage to see some sort of relaxation process. So those are the very first velocity changes results that we get by using code wave interferometry with the stretching method, using the code by Peter Makus. And as we can see, we have something that follows a pretty straightforward upwards trend, which unfortunately does not follow the loading pattern that we applied at all. So here that's the result that we got for a specific pair of sensors, of which we have 8. And on this example, you see that upwards trend with pretty distinct set of outliers here. But if you compute those same velocity changes for various sets of sensors, you're going to find that sometimes it's going to be unimodal, sometimes bimodal, sometimes trimodal. And we do have our suspicions about what might cause this, but they're very varied, and there's a lot of them which I couldn't possibly cover during this talk, so I'd be very happy to talk with you around my poster about how and why everything went wrong, pretty much. Thank you.